Welcome to this information video for the parents of Year 11 students currently enrolled in Studies of Religion. I am Mrs. Dixon, their Studies of Religion teacher at the school. Using this video platform, I will be presenting to you with the new unit I have designed entitled Christianity, and would like to take you through how I will be facilitating this unit in class, as it will be a slightly different approach to the usual teaching style, but one I trust the students are really going to enjoy. And hopefully we will see some great results at the end of this unit and some increased engagement. I will need a bit of help from you as the parents and guardians of the students, so thank you for taking the time to watch this video. The teaching styles are beginning to change in modern times, and you are very much a part of the future and helping us achieve that in our schools, so thank you. Firstly, I would like to say how wonderful it is that your children opted to study this religion course in grades 11 and 12. It's a vitally important life skills subject that allows teenagers the opportunity to search for meaning at what is such a critical age for them. It allows them to explore culture and religions around them that they may not have been exposed to before. The essence of Studies of Religion is that we should know each other and understand each other better. In Studies of Religion during the years of 11 and 12, we look at Christianity, Islam, Hinduism, Buddhism, Judaism, and the Australian Aboriginal traditional beliefs. As a religious educator, my goal is to stretch the minds of my students so that they can embrace being human and find commonality with those that they share the planet with. Due to globalization and immigration, particularly in Australia, where such a high proportion of the population was born outside of Australia, we have a multicultural society with various religions on our doorstep. It is important for the unity and the continuation of Australia as a country of free speech and democracy to understand these religions and have a point of reference for when our students go out into the world. I believe that understanding people's religions and the cultures is the first step towards peace and harmony, and I hope my students will catch a glimpse of that through this next unit on Christianity. For this unit on Christianity, we are going to be using a flipped classroom strategy. That's right, you heard it, a flipped classroom. A flipped classroom is essentially the reversal of a traditional teaching strategy. In this new strategy of teaching, our students will gain first exposure to new material outside of class in their own time, usually via reading or online lectures or watching videos made available on the Flipped Classroom website that the whole class has access to, and that I, as the teacher, have pre-populated with the information I want them to be able to go through. Then, when the students come to class, they are already a step ahead, they are well prepared and informed, and as a class, we can use that time to do the more cognitive work of assimilating that knowledge through applied strategies, such as problem solving, discussion, and debates. Research on student results and comprehension has shown that time is better spent by the teacher in the classroom focusing on guiding knowledge and providing feedback on information students have already been exposed to prior to the classroom lesson, instead of using that precious class time to read or to watch videos. And that's because students have different needs and learning styles. Not all learn at the same speed or in the same way. So in a class environment, some can become frustrated or bored because they can read or absorb information much quicker than others, while other students can feel left behind and confused when they don't understand something and are afraid to ask in front of a crowd. In a flipped classroom style, students can read as much or as little as they like and in their own time. They can choose to watch a video or read an article depending on how they are feeling at that time. Students have direct access to the knowledge. Using modern technology, we can make the most of the time and the efforts that we have available. They can also post questions online via the Flipped Classroom website if they don't understand something, and either myself as the teacher can answer it, or the other classmates by way of an open forum can answer them too. I, of course, keep an eye on all communication to maintain quality control. Then, when we get together as a class, we can apply that knowledge that the students have learned online in practical ways, such as discussions, debates, group work, and quizzes. And I will then have the time to work on students individually to provide the support and the attention through this unit that they may need. We are very fortunate to be living in an age where most people have access to a computer and the internet, and we are able to use this technology to enhance the teaching and learning process and differentiate the strategies we use to engage our students, like this flipped classroom approach. I would ask that if you as the parent could please ensure that your child has access to the Flipped Classroom website every day and that you encourage them to use it, certainly initially while they are getting into the swing of things and finding their new rhythm. That would help considerably in all of us adjusting to this new and exciting learning style. At this point, I thought it may be helpful if I showed you the Flipped Classroom website, how to log on to it, and a demonstration of the pages made available of the resources I've loaded for the students' use. I will then end off by taking you through the case study the students will complete as part of this unit. To start, the students will need to click on the website link www.wikispaces.com/content/classroom and input their own personal username and password, which I will allocate them at the beginning of the unit. However, for the benefit of this video, I have given you all a generic logon, which you are very welcome to use to familiarize yourself with the website and its content. The username is My Flipped Classroom and the password is SOR2017. When you enter that, the dashboard will open and the menu at the top right of the screen says My Wikis. Select Flipped Classroom Studies of Religion and the website will open onto this page. At this point, I would like to take you through a sneaky peek of the Flipped Classroom through an online tour. So put your seatbelts on and let's go for a ride through a class on Christianity flipped upside down. Welcome to the Flipped Classroom Studies of Religion website. This is the home screen that the students will see when they log on. And there is an introduction from myself explaining what the Flipped Classroom is, what the unit on Christianity is all about, what their case study will be on, and it just gives a good introduction video for them to explain what flipping a classroom means. I might just show you at this point the content of the unit and how it's laid out on the website. You can see that it starts on the right hand side, Origins of Christianity, and it goes all the way down to the Christianity glossary. And it explains through these different pages all of the different elements of the unit that we need to cover as part of the curriculum for Christianity as a unit. And if you go into the individual pages, such as Origins of Christianity as an example, there are blended learning options here for students. So they can either watch a video or they can go through a variety of different information in different styles and texts on the history of Christianity. After that, there's another page, Sacred Text and Writing, and it's a similar outline, and they have the option of watching a YouTube video as well as additional information. For those students that prefer extended learning, there is a plethora of information available to them on these various pages, but it is expected as a very minimum that the students would go through an overview of this information, and they would spend at least half an hour on each one of these unit descriptions and content pages to go through what's available. There's also sources at the end of each pages, and as well as uploaded documents that they may be able to download and go through. So this subject unit content is ethical systems. It goes through what morals and ethics are of Christianity, the Beatitudes, Jesus' commandment of love, and there's an example here of a document to download on the 10 Commandments. And so once the students have been through each one of those, ending with the Christian glossary, they would then have gone through all the unit content pages required for this unit. They would then be ready to move on to the case study. Now, looking at the case study page, this will give an outline of what the case study is about, what it involves, and what the students have to do. So students will have to complete a case study online using this website as part of the unit, and they can do that either as an individual or they can decide to do it as a team of 2. And a case study is an assignment based on a real life situation where the student is provided with background information and they are then asked to use skills of analysis, research, problem solving and critical thinking in order to respond to the case study question. And they would have utilized a lot of that information that they would have learned in this section of the website. They will use that to be able to answer the case study question, but they will be required to do additional research on their behalf as well to get that critical thinking in shape. All of the instructions are included under this case study page, and there's also information on here about the format that is required, the research process, the objectives that will be assessed, the assessment criteria, what's involved in the flipped classroom as part of this case study. And there are a number of videos and additional readings that are available for the student for the case study, and they're on the right hand side here, case study reading 1, 2, 3, 4, and they also form part of different types of blended learning. So there's text heavy pages which they can go through, and there are also video content, YouTube clips which they would be able to watch as well. I may use this opportunity to give you some background on the case study content, if I may. This case study is based on a very current and contentious real-life issue around the changing of Australian law, or the potential changing of Australian law to allow same-sex marriages. Up to this point, federal government law states legal marriage must be between a man and a woman. But however, all registered Australians have been asked to vote via a postal survey as to whether they agree, yes, or disagree, no, to this change in the law. And those that are voting yes, such as the LGBTIQ community, which represents about 4% of the Australian population, are doing so because they believe in same-sex marriage and the equality for all. Those that are voting no are doing so either for religious reasons, because they're concerned about the future freedom of speech and freedom of religion in Australia. They want to preserve the traditional view of marriage, or they're concerned about the welfare of children and society as we know it. So it's a very controversial topic, and it's escalated dramatically recently as both sides of the argument have launched campaigns, and the media has been pursuing stories of bullying, bigotry, safe school program, and future intentions, victimization and scaremongering. But as a student of studies of religion, what are the facts? And importantly, what are the biblical views on this? What are the implications for Christianity and other religions if this law is passed? Finally, how could Christians and the greater Australian community unite through the Australian Law Postal Survey and its outcome? So the assignment question is, what concerns do Australian Christians have about same-sex marriage law changing and why? And based on the teachings of Jesus Christ, suggest your recommendations on how Australia could unite as a country through this voting process. So parents, if I may be so bold as to ask you for assistance at this point to ensure that students have the best possible chance at doing well in this case study, that you remain neutral for them to be able to complete this assignment in their own capacity. The point of this assignment is not for the students to gain a political standing on this matter, but rather to broaden their minds, allow them to learn new facts about this unit on Christianity, and to explore ways in which they can research and synthesize information to form arguments and recommendations, but most of all, so that they understand this religion as part of their studies of religion subject. I trust that at the end of this unit and this case study, they will be better informed, better prepared for the world, and have gained much cognitive thinking capability. So that's a summary of what the case study entails. I might at this point just take you through a few of these options here at the top of the screen. They are different links or pages, and the first one that I might show you is this one entitled Projects. And if we just click on that, it takes us to a new page, and it shows where the case study will have to be written up. So this is the format that they will need to submit their case study, and depending on whether they select to be in a group or an individual, they will be allocated one of these. And for example, group 1 may be 2 students in the class. This will be their private page where they can submit all their information in response to the case study question. They can do text, they can add links, they can add files, they can add widgets such as YouTube videos or references, calendars, spreadsheets, documents, whatever they may like to add as supporting appendices as part of their project case study. They can do that on this page. It also allows them to add a discussion point. So between the two, if they're working in a group, they'll be able to be at home on their own computers and be able to send questions back and forth to each other that are private, and they'll be each independently able to edit this page and add additional information as part of submitting this case study online via the Flipped Classroom website. There are also other pages here such as events. So this is like a calendar, and it will show the students when the unit starts, which is actually the 2nd of October. It ends on the 20th of October, and they can then track how much work they've done on this 3-week unit. So they can go through Origins of Christianity, Sacred Texts, Ethical Systems, etc., and mark off on their events program to see how much further they need to do to be able to complete the unit. And then when they come to class, we'll be able to do practical assessments and practical exercises in class to be able to enhance their cognitive understanding of what they've read at home in the Flipped Classrooms strategy style. Another tab here is called engagement, and this might just be reassuring for you as a parent. This allows me to see every single student once they are a part of the page. They're not yet, but when they are, all of their names will be on this section of the page, and I'll be able to see how much reading they've done, how much writing they've done, which pages they've accessed, and that just gives me a big brother overview of the pages, and it allows me to keep a tab on things. It allows me to keep them accountable, and for my own peace of mind, and certainly for you as the parent, for your peace of mind as well. So that brings us to the end of this demonstration and video on this unit of Christianity for Studies of Religion. Thank you so much for your time, and most of all, thank you for giving your children an opportunity to love learning and to learn more about the religions of the world.